I will tell you a little bit about the Monster Treaty. So, 10 years ago, 13 years ago, the monsters came into New York City. There was a big war over, and at the end of the 10 years, they were on two sides and they came together, sort of like the Versailles Treaty in World War One, where they decide that humans and monsters are going to live together and they have to work together. And for going forward for that means that if like you're entering a monster's house, they have the right to kill you, but they're not going to kill you on the streets anymore. It's sort of this like contentious divide. And so in the first book, Kierce enters a monster's house. And instead of killing her when he catches her, he's sort of like, you work for me now. And so that's sort of the setup for the series. And then in book two, they've sort of split ways. There's been some betrayal, and she goes over to Ireland to try to find out more information about her past based on the things that she's discovered at the end of the book and with Graves' help. And she's trying to get into the goblin market, and the goblin market is like a sort of a black market where they have all these like nefarious things, and she's trying to use it to learn memories about her past that are hidden. And so to get in there, you either have to eat goblin fruit, which is essentially like crack, like deal with the devil sort of thing. Like if you eat it, you're probably going to get addicted and die. And so she figured out the only other way to get into the goblin market is to get a coin, and you have to bargain with the goblins to get a coin. And so they gave her an impossible task. She has to steal a bracelet off of the Queen of the Nymphs in her own palace in Versailles. And so she's like, bet I can do that. And they were like, haha, sure you can. And so she goes to Versailles on Beltane, May Day, May 1st, and she goes to steal this thing, and it's not where it's supposed to be. She does the whole heist. She gets there, it's gone. She's like, what am I supposed to do? And then she gets like a vampire smells her bleeding, starts coming out, and who do you know saves the day? Graves shows up, and he's like, I can get you your bracelet. So she sort of has to be like, do I want to work with him again with all the trust issues? And it sets up like trust issues, recovering her memories, and also a second heist, which is sort of more of like in line with like an Ocean's level heist with lots of new characters, like 10 new characters who are part of all of this together. Yeah, to get the cauldron out of ancient Celtic lore. It's actually really funny. When I was setting this up, I was like, oh, this is going to sound so crazy, but I was in 2016. I was on a cruise with my family. And for some reason, somehow, what my family are, when we're together, we like make friends with everybody. I don't do that all by myself, but when I'm with them, we all do. And so I made really good friends with the cruise director and the like activity director. And like to enough that I'm still friends with them like online today and we still catch up. And their names were Laz and Schwartz. And so I was like, I immediately knew I wanted to write these two guys into the book as like best friends. And so Laz is a new character. He's like a Indiana Jones type spy treasure hunter, and he's the one who gets the first tip on the cauldron. And then you meet Schwartz, who is a mer, which I had to make him a mer because he's the cruise director. He's, the water. And he is sort of like the spy on the inside kind of guy. He's the one who like he's worked security, he knows munitions, he can do a lot with blowing things up. He's your guy for that. So you sort of have the duality of that. And so a lot in the first book, there's found family where there's these people that she knows and loves, but it's like small and insular, and it's like neither of them let anyone else in. And sort of in the second book, you see, as with any Ocean's cast, all of these people come together and become one big cohesive group when it's a bunch of misfits that you would think would never work together. I bring back, there's a character in the first book whose name is Walter, and he's a tech guy. You know, you need a tech guy if you're doing a heist. But he was actually on the villain side in the first book, working with them, using magic and tech together. And so they convince him to come to their side and like help them with their tech problem. And there's a girl. So I do this thing with Shakespeare and Midsummer's Night Dream, because Midsummer's Night Dream is all about the real world, and then you enter fairy world, and it's this like fever dream of hedonism, and then you have to come back to reality. And that's sort of the duality of these books to begin with, is this like, is it real? Is this fake? That you kind of feel. So I actually stuck A Midsummer's Night Dream in there, and I made one of the main cast members part of their team, and they're performing at the heist, the place where they're doing a heist, so that's how they get people inside. So she's a totally new character, and she's actually connected to my Blood Type series as an Easter egg. So she's like a vampire princess from the Upper East Side, like literally. And so I got to do like all of these other people who come in, and they just like build out the world a lot more, and you get to meet a whole bunch of new monsters and see how all that works, and it was really fun.